Welcome back to the show that has got your morning covered, Morning Express, right here on KTN. We want to talk books now, and today on Book Review, Bonney Tunya looks at the book Man in Green Dungarees by Mbugua. Here is more.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Express book review, as well as we are right here in the book heaven, that is Textbook Center at Sarit Center, Nairobi. And what we try to do here is to try and expand your reading space to introduce you to a few more authors you didn't know about. And today we're talking about an interesting book. All week we've talked about success, we've talked about manhood. We're revisiting the idea of success, and we're talking about The Man in Green Dungarees. It's a book by Mbugua, and Mbugua is here with me. Karibu sana. So The Man in Green Dungarees. Mbugua, we need to get this right. Is it dungarees? Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, it's correct. It's correct.
It's not a word I come across every day.
It's correct.
Interesting. Starlight readers. What's all this about?
The Man in Green Dungarees is a story of a young man who is trying to find his footing after being rejected by his peers and the love of his life.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
They are young people, and he's rejected by his girlfriend.
Double tragedy.
Yeah, because he didn't make it to go to university.
Wow.
He sinks into alcoholism because of that. And we try to rehabilitate him to become a productive person in society. Yeah.
Right. You've mentioned this very unfortunate guy who one fails to make it to campus, then the love of his life, rejects him. So there's a series of failure here that's trailing. And then we come back to the title, and it's The Man in Green Dungarees. How does that connect to this character that you've just described?
There are two things that made me give the book that title. The first one was a survey done by Coca-Cola, which showed that youth in East Africa, they want to grow rich, but they don't want to work.
Right.
And the dungaree, for me, is a symbol of a workman. People who wear dungarees, they do hard work. They are likely to be found in the garages or in the gardens, and they are engaging their hands in productive labor.
Right.
And for me, the color green is the color of luxuriance, harvest, and productivity.
Right.
Yeah. When the land is green, it means we are going to have a harvest. Yeah.
Interesting. You've mentioned very interesting themes here. You're talking about success and how to get there. And going from your description, we're not just talking about this one particular character who we focus and put a spotlight on, but it's more or less addressing the wider young people, the population of the young people. What sort of challenges, what is this that the young people always get it wrong in their quest for success?
I think the way they are socialized, there's a problem there. Because for one, when people fail to join Form 1, now we are having this debate of people going to Form 1. We say the people who have failed to join Form 1 are failures. And yet those people may have other talents and other capabilities that might make them better people in life. When people fail to join campus after Form 4, we say the people who have not joined campus are failures. And yet, these are people with talents, and they are people whose abilities can be channeled to make them successful, vibrant, and even good people in society.
Right.
So the first problem that the youth have is the way they are socialized to define success.
The system, yes.
Yes, because they say, if you don't succeed in education, you don't succeed in life. And for me, I think that is a fallacy. Number two, there was a study that was done by the Ministry of Youth before it was disbanded, and it was showing that the biggest problems facing the youth are lack of training, lack of capital to start businesses, and exposure to drug and alcohol.
Yes.
So, and that's why I put those themes in this book, because I said if we can address these issues, because these issues were raised by the youth, then probably our youths can be redeemed.
Right.
Yeah.
There are lots of young people who are not so strong-willed to engineer this change by themselves. I mean, there are lots of John Benjamins around, and who sit back and say, well, this is a system problem. It's not my fault. I worked hard. I just didn't make the cut. How do you get these young people to that place where they initiate this change?
It's a hard question for every young person who is finding himself in that problem, because it's very easy to fall into drug abuse. It's very easy to become a social misfit, or to fall into crime, or to be lured into negative activities. But a person has to come to a point in his life when he has to ask, what do I want to do with my life? And until you come to that point, you might have a problem identifying your goals.
How do they get to that point? What are these events in one's life, if we may borrow from John Benjamin's life, that got him to that point that said, hey, maybe I need to, get my act together?
Yes, John Benjamin had an aha moment where he went to visit his friend, and the daughter of the friend thought he was smelling badly, and there was a problem
about that. He hadn't taken a shower for days.
Yeah, and it's like his eyes opened. For some people, it might happen in one instance. For some people, it may take a process. Usually when people are having a problem with drug abuse, they are taken into rehabilitation, and the first thing they are told is that if you want to recover, you have to accept you have a problem. And that's the same thing I'll tell the people who are trying to find an economic footing. You have to accept where you are, then you ask yourself, what am I good at? I may not have been good in doing A, but I might be good in doing B. For John Benjamin, he always had a talent for carpentry, and his dream was to become an architect. He didn't become an architect, but he started building kennels, and he started a business that nobody else was doing. And from that, he got something that he could get a foothold in, and he became successful, he became a celeb, and he did something positive with his life.
Do we have support structures that would trigger that aha moment?
We have them, but they are weak. For example, we used to have technical training institutions. At some point, many of them were upgraded into universities. Now the government is trying to say, oh, we need to revive technical training institutions. And we so that the people who don't make it in education can find life skills in these institutions. We can say they're there, but they are weak. In the past, we didn't have a youth fund. Now, if people come together and they're young people and they have a business idea, they can accumulate the money. 5 years ago, it was not the case. So at least now they might not be the perfect solutions, but now we have started addressing those problems.
What sort of audience were you targeting that would pick this book from the shelf, and what age is this? Because we're talking about a limited time space that you can say, this is the best time to try and get to ask yourself those hard questions that, am I going where I was supposed to be going? So what describe your audience?
The people I had in mind when I was writing this book are people who are between the ages of 14 and probably 22. Because at that time you're still trying to figure out the things you want to do in life. You are still trying to identify yourself. You are still having problems with your peers. Your peers maybe want one thing and you want something else. So those are the people I had in mind. But the surprising thing is when I go to bookshops or to book fairs, people who are much, much younger, they are picking this book and they are reading it. And sometimes they come to me and tell me, please sign this book for me. And they say, you're too young.
You're too young. You're not at that point yet.
But you see now, these days, depending on where you go to school, children's reading abilities have really changed. So you find a child in class 7 or class 8 is enjoying this book. I cannot stop them from reading it.
It's
because
even better.
If their mind is prepared for it. Something else that has been very surprising is that even adults are reading this book. Although there was a study that was done many years ago which showed that adults are the biggest readers of children's books. And I have had conversations with the people who have read this book, and then they have given it to their children to read the book. And when they talk about John Benjamin, it's like somebody in the neighborhood.
Someone they know.
And I keep telling them, this is a character. This is not a person in your estate. But it makes me feel happy.
Mbugua, what sort of criticisms do you get from people reading this? Do you get people questioning your idea of success and how you've described it here? What kind of negative vibe? Or criticisms do you get?
So far, I can't say I've gotten any negative vibe. The responses I've got are people saying, by the way, the ideas you raised are important ideas. And you see, it's not the work of an author to provide solutions.
Right.
It's to trigger debate, so that people say, oh, this is what we need to do. Oh, there's a problem here. How can we address it? And that is the point that the author tries to make in a work, because a work of literature is a social commentary. We are not people who have the capacity to provide solutions, but we can tell people this is what is happening, and when they read, they can reflect. And then, there are no fast and hard answers in life. Everybody reads the book and says, how is this book important to me? How has it changed my life? What can I do to avoid the pitfalls that John Benjamin went through?
The book is targeted at a young audience, but there are parents who are picking it off the shelf and reading it. What is this message that you'd love to pass to a lot of the parents picking this book, to their kids, or even just them handing over to other readers?
That in Kenya, if you go to bookshops, parents are always buying books for their children, but they hardly buy books for themselves. Yeah, so if you want your children to become good readers, when you go to the bookshop, you buy one book for them or two books for them, and you buy one book for yourself.
They'll only get to like reading when they see it happening.
You have to model it. Yeah, you have to model it.
Mbogwa, a book review is not complete, of course, without a book reading. So I'd like you to pick just 3 lines of your favorite part of the book and just give it to us.
People's fortunes really change in this world, I tell you. Now here I am, skipping lunch to save money, while John Benjamin is probably having a 3-course meal in a 5-star hotel, with eager people hanging on his every word as he regales them with stories about how far he has come since the days when he used to wallow in drunkenness. True, he still loves his tipple, but now he does not need to take the low-end stuff that had put his life in mortal danger. Since he has good friends and many responsibilities and is always busy, he probably has less time to indulge. He also does not have to worry about sleeping in the gutter because his driver will take him home or he will call a taxi.
Wow, interesting. Where can we get this book?
Here at Textbook Center.
Right here?
And in all bookshops. It's published by Oxford and it's available throughout the country.
For the parents who are living outside Nairobi, where can they get it?
It's available throughout the country in every major bookshop. It has been approved by KIE for Form 1 to Form 4, and it's going to be available in schools.
Ng'ang'a Mbogwa, the author of The Man in Green Dungarees, asante sana, and thanks for making time.
Thank you so much for having me.